Hello everybody, this is Dr. Max. I'm one of the doctors that's part of the Total Health Chiropractic team. What you're about to watch is a replay of a recent webinar that we did a couple of days ago, specifically on the topic on how to prevent and recover from common sports injuries. Now, it was the very first time we did it in real time. We did it live, and everything was going perfect until the 20-minute mark, in which it just cut out, we lost the signal, and we couldn't continue. So we had a lot of people asking about, well, what about the other points? What about the missing stuff, missing information? So don't worry. What I'm going to do with you is share the summary or the gist of that workshop. What I did was summarize it to the 6 simple tips to prevent and facilitate your recovery. So, ready to get started? Great. Tip number 1, stretch warm, never cold. Seems not common sense, but I can't reiterate how important this is. Perfect example. If you're a runner or a jogger, before you go hard or intense into your run, spend probably the first 4 or 5 minutes just doing a light jog. And then immediately after that time, 3, 4, 5 minutes, start stretching. Stretch the muscles that you're going to use. Stretch the quads, the hips, the ankles. It doesn't take that long. But what you're going to do is to prime the working muscles ready for the activity, so it makes it more effective, more elastic, more power in your run. If you're doing any type of gym or resistance training, before you hit the weights or the machines, do some full body cardio, some full body movement. So doing a little bit of medium intensity, light intensity cardio, enough to break a sweat or glisten. That ensures your body temperature is warm, your muscles are elastic, and now do your stretch. And then go into the activity workout that you're going to do. So never stretch cold, always stretch warm. Number 2, make your warm-up exercise specific. I'm less concerned about the running because it's only one movement that you're doing when you're running. It's just moving your legs. However, if you're doing any type of strength activity or resistance training, either with kettlebells or with weights, or I'm going to recommend doing an exercise or set, maybe 15, 20 repetitions, not a heavy weight, but just enough to prime the brain-body connection to the muscles that you're about to work. What that does is that it creates more blood flow to the area, primes the muscles, and actually allows you to get a much more effective pump or a much more effective activation of the muscles once you start to increase the resistance. So you're going to get more bang for your buck just by taking that extra repetition or the extra set before you do a work set. But that warm-up set, be specific to the exercise that you're doing. Number 3. Never sacrifice technique for that extra rep. So I know that some of us, when you try to get back into the routine and try to work out hard, we want to push that extra, if we're running, want to go that extra kilometer, extra mile, and ignore the signals from our body. It might be an ache or a tweak or a twinge. You just want to push yourself. Exercise with caution. Those are signals that your body's trying to let you know, to warn you, to let you know that, hey, you better curb it back. Otherwise, you're going to create damage. So those are early warning signals that you do not want to ignore. Also, when you start to feel tired, especially if you're a runner, and you start to feel tension and tiredness in your lower back, that's mainly because that your lower abdominals are weak or they're not engaged. So to offset that when you're running, you got to tighten up. Okay, so that's a proper technique to make sure that your posture's in line when you're running. If you're in the gym, you're working out, and you're trying to get the extra rep, what happens is some people try to compensate with other movements. For instance, if you're doing an arm curl, right, and to get that weight up, they start to arch your back, lean. You know what? Drop the weight. Or if they're doing a pull down here and they start to pull the weight back here, drop the weight. You're now involving other muscle groups that are not normally involved with that movement. You're going to actually lose out on the benefits of creating definition and also risk greater injury. And that's where we see a lot of people come in to our offices with, or people who train too heavy, too intense, and don't realize that, you know what, maybe you should have stopped around 1 or 2 reps towards the end of the set to prevent that nagging injury that might have happened in the hips, shoulders, knees, wherever. So never sacrifice technique for the extra rep. It's not worth it. Just don't do it. Number 4, you're only as strong as your weakest link. So if you are a runner, your weakest link are not your hips, because the muscles around your hip are your glutes, your thighs, your quads. That's a big muscle group, right? You're not going to do that much damage to it. The weakest links often are the joints that you have that involve full range of motion, such as the wrist, such as the shoulders, such as the ankles. To train these joints and these areas that are constantly unstable, or the weakest, most typical weakest links, I'll always like to recommend working out on unstable surfaces. So I'm a fan of the balance disc. So if you want to strengthen those joints so you don't get injuries to the knees and hips, work the lowest part of that kinetic chain, the most unstable part, by working on standing on one leg. Or doing drills with your feet, which involves what I like to do if you're a runner, I like to run on the outside when I warm up, run on the inside, run on my heels, run my toes, and work back and run backwards. So that's part of my warm up, just to activate those proprioceptors, or those small sensors in the small tissues and ligaments and muscles around the ankle, around the feet, to make sure that I can get the signals back to my brain fast enough, and also activate the right muscles so I don't lose balance and maintain my symmetry when I run. If you're working out in the gym, specifically with the shoulder is the most common area that gets injured with any type of pushing motion or pulling motion. So that is the weakest link. To strengthen that link with the shoulders, ensure that anytime you're lifting, that you don't have this your shoulders rounded forward, it's rolled back. This has to be set back. And that also requires spinal stability to be able to keep the shoulders back. For any movement that you're doing that involves pulling, or arm curls or pull downs, anytime that you're able to squeeze, maintain this erect alignment or your shoulders back, you're going to create a strong, stable base that prevents injury that often occurs to the front of your shoulders. So that can be prevented by strengthening your weakest link, by strengthening the muscles between the shoulder blades, and also working on exercises that don't involve machines. I like the balance ball. I'm a big fan of the balance ball. So work on unsteady surfaces, or work on balls while you're pushing weights, lifting weights. Because unsteady surfaces activate the small muscles that work to support those weak links and get them activated so that you don't incur injury. Number 5, the post-workout cool down and stretch is crucial. Don't miss a step. Take the time to use the blood flow that's going to those working muscles to lengthen the muscle, to stretch it out. Cardiovascular activity helps burn up, or helps your body use up that lactic acid so you don't feel sore over the next couple of days. It also helps your muscles become a bit more elastic and makes the stretch after you work out more effective too. Okay. Yes, we like that pump feeling in the arms, shoulders, chest, or legs, but you don't want to actually keep your muscles contracted for a long time. Otherwise, it's going to adapt to that shortened state if you don't stretch. If it's in that shortened state instead of being lengthened, then you put yourself at risk of injury again. So remember, the post-workout cool-down stretch is crucial. Now the last part, and I got to mention this as a chiropractor, I believe is the most important part, is to optimize your spine mobility and alignment. Optimize your spine mobility and alignment. If your spine lacks a flexibility, all right, and the proper alignment with the curves in your neck, mid back, and lower back are designed to absorb forces, then you're creating basically a column where all the forces are being transferred to the discs and not being able to absorb the forces from gravity, or the forces from any type of loading from jogging, the weight of your body that passes through your spine, or the weight of any type of load across your shoulders or arms, or any type of vertical loading throughout your body. You also want to maintain alignment as well in this perspective, in this angle. If you have your body in a constant state of misalignment, then you put yourself at risk of injury. So having one repetition of one step with your hips out of line, not a big deal. But if you're doing 10,000 steps when you're jogging or running, and you even have something more than 2 kilograms weight difference, then you're creating unequal distribution of loads throughout your hips, shoulders, knees, and ankles, which puts you at risk of injury as well too. So ensure that your spine is properly mobile, fully mobile, and in best alignment from the front and from the side, right, to prevent injury and to optimize your function as well too. Also, another key point is the flexibility of your mid-back is crucial for being able to keep your head and shoulders in alignment when you're working out, but also it's crucial for being able to bring and squeeze your shoulders back, which is the opposite posture that we find ourselves in on a constant basis for 8 hours a day, because we're in front of a computer, in front of a screen, and now we're in an imbalanced position, imbalanced load that recreates injuries that could be avoided. Okay, so If you don't have that flexibility to be able to not just bring your shoulders back, but to hold it comfortably, then get yourself checked. Make sure your spine is mobile, aligned, and working at its peak potential before you push yourself hard inside the gym. Thank you so much for your undivided time and attention in this workshop. I did my best to duplicate what we did in real time, and hopefully this information you learned from today is going to be able to, you're going to start being able to apply it right away for your own workouts or sharing this with somebody else. So if you're currently a patient or a member of one of our Total Health Chiropractic offices, great, get back on track with the care. Get yourself adjusted, get yourself aligned. If you're not a member of one of our clinics or you never have ever been checked by a chiropractor before, we want to invite you to take advantage of an opportunity we want to give you for your time watching this workshop. So the next slide is a QR code you can scan that explains or gives you this opportunity to use. Or if you're currently one of our patients, share this with somebody that you know that could benefit from getting the spine checked so that they can avoid injury and optimize the workout. So my name is Dr. Max. Thanks for your time and attention. Have a great day, folks. Peace.